The Jaguars' chances to reach the Super Bowl. Rich Eisen Show with ESPN's Louis Riddick. I made a video a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, on the Jacksonville Jaguars that got me quite in hot water with Duval County. They were not happy with what I said. So I will reiterate that just to cause even more of a stir. I think Jacksonville's good. I think Jacksonville is on the rise. I think that they should be excited. But I think to have this goal of reaching the Super Bowl, or this expectation of reaching the Super Bowl, I think is a bit early. I said in that video to temper your expectations, and a lot of Duval County told me to temper these nuts. So, but I will say, temper the expectations. Jacksonville is not at the level of Cincinnati, Kansas City, Baltimore. They're not there yet. They could be. They're on the right path, but they're not there yet. I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars have any chance this year to reach the Super Bowl. I would start with winning the division, winning playoff games, getting up to the snuff of those teams. Then I would talk about reaching the Super Bowl. So I can't wait to see how these comments go.
Let's choose an AFC team that nobody's talking about, that we should be talking about. And the interesting thing is that we could just identify those teams, and I could give you just a list to choose from because everybody's talking about the AFC. So the AFC teams that fewer people are talking about, you could pretty much putting anybody not named, or you could put the entire AFC South if you want to throw Jacksonville in there.
I might be wrong here, but I feel like Louis Riddick interviewed within the last 5 years or so, interviewed for a GM job with Jacksonville. I hope I'm not wrong there. I know he interviewed for a GM job recently. It might be Jacksonville. So if it was Jacksonville, he should have a pretty good idea where this team is.
Then you've got the Browns and the Steelers and the Patriots. Pretty much.
Jacksonville's way better than those teams. I'll say that. Jacksonville is they're a rung below the top tier of the AFC. The Cincy, the KFC. The Cincy, the KC, the Baltimore. Then the next tier is Jacksonville. I think they're right there. I think Jacksonville is in that. They're way ahead of the Browns and the Steelers and the Patriots. So don't get me twisted. I think that I would put Jacksonville in the same kind of area as like the Dolphins.
Everybody else has been talking about the AFC West pretty much. Unless you think we're overlooking the Broncos, because in the same way that everybody thought Pete was washed, and clearly we learned last year he wasn't, folks are saying Russ.
I think Denver's going to be good. I'm high on Denver. Y'all know that. I'm high on the Broncos this year.
Is washed. I'll give you the floor on that one. Louis?
Yeah, you know what? The team I'd be looking at really would be Jacksonville. I mean, look, I'll just mention Denver really quick.
Sure.
I mean, you know Sean Payton as well as anybody. Look, Sean, I think, is one of the great coaches of our time period.
For sure.
When you talk to him for production meetings for television, this guy, most coaches want to get you in and out of there. They're kind of like, I don't have really have time for this, man. I'm trying to prepare my team. It's Saturday, whatever. Sean Payton gives you an absolute PhD education on roster building, player utilization, scheme, strategies, tactics, every single time.
Yeah, Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in the last 20 years, no doubt about it. He's not Andy Reid, like he's not probably not that level, but he's a hell of a coach.
I come away from his meetings every single time going, this dude can coach. This is a guy who, if I was a GM and he was a free agent, I'd go, I like his no nonsense. He's a little gruff, a little edgy.
He's a prickly pear. He is a prickly pear.
I think Denver is going to be better than what people think they're going to be. Unfortunately, they're just
I agree.
A meat grinder of the division with the best team in football. But Jacksonville, for sure, is the team. And the South's going to be better overall.
Okay.
But Jacksonville has got dudes, man. And
the South is going to be better overall than what? The South is awful. The AFC South probably is the worst division of football. So I'm not sure if he's saying the South will be better overall than the West, because that is nuts. The South is complete garbage.
Doug Peterson is a fantastic coach. Their defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell, is going to be an up-and-coming, under-the-radar head coaching candidate who's going to get some interviews this year. What Calvin Ridley's going to do for Trevor Lawrence and what Trevor's going to do for Calvin Ridley, Calvin's going to burst back onto the scene as being that guy who, when he left, before he left and was suspended, I thought was the best route runner in the NFL. Period. He can run any route and absolutely break your ankles, tear your ACLs, dislocate your – this guy is a route-running just genie. And he is going to do wonders for this outside passing game for Jacksonville. Now, it really does – it comes down to, for me, how this offensive line continues to evolve.
It comes down to Trevor Lawrence. Like, last year was an enormous step for the franchise because of the Urban Meyer debacle. Like, going from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson, just from a culture level, just from a logistical level, was such an upgrade. I think Jacksonville rode that lightning. Question now is, do they just ride that lightning and this is who they are now? Or does Trevor Lawrence take that next step? And if Trevor Lawrence takes that next step, he'll be in that elite-ish level quarterback territory. And if that's the case, Jacksonville can continue this ascent, and then they will be good, and they will be a contender every year. But they have to take that step. If Trevor Lawrence takes that step with Doug Peterson, which he certainly can, with the additions of Calvin Ridley, 100% can. I have no doubt that he can take that step. But until he does that, I'm not ready to call Jacksonville elite. I'm not ready to say they're a true contender. If he does that, and he's in the same category as the rest of the best quarterbacks in the AFC, Jacksonville can certainly contend for a Super Bowl. But we need to see that from Trevor this year.
Especially at the tackle position, because now, they're going to have to start a rookie in Anton Harrison at left tackle because of the suspension of Cam Robinson. They're going to have a new right tackle in Walker Little. But the running back, Travis Etienne, is a stud. Tank Bigsby from Auburn, the running back they got in the third, I thought Tank was one of the best running backs in the draft. I mean, in the third round, he's going to be another one of those guys where I look back and go, how the hell did Tank Bigsby last till the third round? He's going to be that kind of guy. This Brenton Strange, who they drafted from Penn State, the tight end, him and Evan Ingram will be as good as a pass-catching duo as there is in the NFL. And I know people are going to go, damn, Louis, you're always so positive on all these. Not everybody can be this good. Look, you know me, man. If I don't like guys, I'll say I don't like guys. I like this team. And they are going to be explosive on offense. And defensively, they've got athletes galore everywhere. It's really going to come down to, look, Mike has got – this is where I think it's going to all come together. Yep. See, Mike is a young up-and-coming defensive coordinator. He's got a bunch of guys on the defensive side of the football that are just fantastic freaking athletes who are young and are still trying to figure out how to play together and make plays in the biggest of moments. I think that's all going to come together because Doug Peterson as a leader and as a person, I couldn't be higher on any coach in the NFL as I am on.
He has certainly created, I've said this before, but Urban Meyer, he basically didn't have an NFL team. Like the way that Urban Meyer was running, it was not how you run an NFL organization. That's why they struggled on the road, because I think Urban struggled with the logistics of just like travel, preparing, planning, things like that. He didn't know how to do it. Doug Peterson certainly does. So Doug Peterson basically got Jacksonville back to being an NFL team. We know Doug Peterson can be a successful coach, for sure. We know that he's won a Super Bowl. He outfoxed Bill Belichick. Like there's no doubt what he can do. So I don't know. I honestly don't know why the reaction to that Jacksonville video I did a week or two ago was so bad, because I like Jacksonville and I like what they're doing. I just think it reminds me of the Lions, where it's such a jump to go from we're a good team, we're a young team, we're an exciting team, to go from that to like a Super Bowl is such a crazy jump to me. They can get there, but this year is the prove it year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the continue the development of the entire franchise. They have the right pieces in place, but they just have to continue that development to get to climb that ladder. And some teams do it faster than others. You know, like Cincinnati with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Their development was so rapid from being like, yeah, they're pretty good to, oh, wow, they're probably, is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the NFL? Is Jamar Chase the best receiver in the NFL? That rapid ascent. And all of a sudden, Kansas City, rapid ascent to where, yeah, they're probably a top 2 team in the AFC as long as Joe Burrow is there, right? Trevor Lawrence's ascent had a couple of hiccups, i.e. Urban Meyer. But if he can continue that ascent, not as rapid as Joe Burrow, but if he can continue that ascent and he can get there, the sky's the limit for this team. It really is.
On him as far as a guy who's already won a Super Bowl, but now it's kind of like trying to put his name back in the upper echelon of coaches again. And so I think Jacksonville is you. And here's really what makes it all go. End of story. It makes it all go. We went over to London last year before they played Denver and did their game for ESPN Plus. Talked to Doug extensively about Trevor Lawrence's maturation as a quarterback and how he had to basically almost, be like rehabilitated and kind of had to really be infused with confidence after.
Yeah, they probably all had like PTSD from the Urban Meyer situation. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the fact that he survived that and had such a good year last year, I mean, kudos to him. And he'll probably end up being stronger of a player because of that. But I mean, a lot of players, quarterbacks, would have just crumbled during and after that Urban Meyer debacle.
The struggle he had as a rookie, not just on the field, but just with his confidence and with the way he was coached and the way he was supported and not supported, and how he was he basically was the adult in the organization his rookie year, which is unfair for him.
Yeah.
And how you could see as the season went on, leading up to the way he played in the postseason, how this guy was just making huge strides week after week with his maturation and how he was starting to play like that guy who they said was a can't-miss guy. Trevor
Lawrence, how he played finishing the season last year was incredible. No doubt about that. Like his progression from week 1 to the playoffs was wild. So taking another step, and Trevor Lawrence will be the guy who he was at Clemson.
Year 2 in Doug's system, what do you think is going to happen to this dude now that he's got the best route runner in the NFL in Calvin Ridley, all these tight ends, a young up-and-coming offensive line that's a little green on the edges, that's got it, but they'll get better. And these running backs, what do you think is going to happen with this football team? They're going to explode.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every...
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Are the Jaguars going to explode? What do you think? What's the ceiling for them? Are the Jaguars a Super Bowl contender this year? Am I a year late on the Jaguars? Do I think they'll be good next year? But, man, this cameraman has given me a terrible look. Look at this on the right side here. Talk about, he does not like when I'm, this guy is the embodiment of all the commenters on my last Jaguars video who told me to temper D's nuts. Let me know in the comments below what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.